Shalom. This is Cut from the Streets, downtown Philly. All right, so we back out here, part 2. Hey, Atlanta, I'm sorry, but look who we have with us, special guest.
Hey, man, listen, Shalom. We got part 2 of the first episode. This is the second episode of the first episode. This is the second part of the first part, so y'all got to stay tuned.
Second part? Or the first part of the second part, or the second part of the first part?
We downtown.
Hey, listen. Regardless, we downtown Philly. We just getting people's reaction on the situation that happened at Starbucks. So, Cut from the Streets, Philly. Stay tuned. All right, so who do we have here?
My name's Kenyatta Castleberry.
Okay.
Maya Eli.
Okay, so what we out here, we asking our people, getting their intake on what happened. Y'all heard about the Starbucks incidents, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think should have happened? Or my question is to you, how do you think we could move on from this situation?
I think everybody needs to take the time to actually sit back and just review the whole scenario from every perspective that was in the room. You know what I mean? From the customers, just random customers. Picture yourself in that building, in that room, and just put yourself in many different scenarios. Use your mind, and just think everybody would generally come to the same collective idea of a solution.
That was oppression. That's fine.
You know what I mean? And it's really like a common sense, more of a natural understanding. And what's right is it naturally flows, and that situation wasn't natural, so therefore there was a loud disruption. You know what I mean? So it's just about going with the flow. Everybody just take the time to sit back and just let things unwind, and don't be so anxious. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. Just let things come.
Cuts from the street. We back. We here in Philly, and I have 2 special guests with me today. What's your name, man?
Name's Matt.
We have Matt and we have
Chris.
Chris. How y'all doing today?
Not bad. It's beautiful out.
What about you?
Doing great, exploring the city.
Cool. So what we out here trying to find out, man, is the people's, reactions or response to the incident that happened at Starbucks. I'm not sure if you guys are aware or not. Are you aware of the situation that happened at Starbucks?
More or less.
Okay, what about you?
Heard a little about it recently.
Okay, so basically what happened was there was, 2 gentlemen sitting in the Starbucks. They were waiting basically for pretty much to conduct some business. And what happened was the cops were called on them, and they ended up getting arrested. And it was 2 African-American gentlemen. What do you think about that?
Not right. Not right if they're just minding their own business.
What about you?
Color should never matter. Everyone should be treated fairly. We're all humans on the inside, after all.
So why do you think that we still deal with these type of things in America? Because, slavery and things like that was a long time ago, right?
Yeah, I know. I honestly could not give a accurate answer because it's beyond me so far of why simple things such as color should matter so significantly. Like I said, we're human beings. We all breathe and sleep and eat. We're all the same.
What about you?
No, I don't think it's right treating people differently just for the color of their skin. I mean, if it's a couple white guys minding their own business, wouldn't look twice, but a couple black guys minding their own business with who knows what's going on recently with just around America, but not everyone should be stereotyped like that. Everyone's fucking different,
So we're here with
Vance.
I'm Sissy.
Cece. Nice to meet you guys. So we're here asking our people and other people here around the area about what happened at Starbucks. Did you hear about it?
Yes, I heard about it.
Yes, I heard about it too.
What do you think about that?
It's interesting. I mean, it's kind of sad because it didn't really feel like it was newsworthy, but it felt kind of commonplace to me. It's something that happens fairly regularly, although I don't know if it gets escalated to that level, but the feeling of discomfort of just being in a place, just using it as a public space, and being made uncomfortable, it's just kind of normal to me.
I'm gonna get back to you on that. That was a good response. So what do you think about it?
I felt outraged. I knew that it wouldn't
With the circumstances about it, it wouldn't happen to me necessarily as a first person experience, but I just felt outraged that this is what's going on.
All right, so I'm here with.
Miles.
All right, Miles. So you heard about what happened at the Starbucks, right? All right. So what's your whole view on everything that happened?
I mean, just lately, it's been just so much going on in media with, like, of course, like, black people, differences within, like, the black community compared to, like, cops and everything like that. It kind of sucks what's going on just because, like, I mean, growing up, I'm inside college, seeing this type of stuff happen to, like, other people probably in college also. Kind of sucks because it makes it feel like we're not, like, really welcome to be anywhere, like, within, like, another premises. It's everywhere. So it kind of just, sucks sometimes.
All right. So you said it feels like that we're not allowed to be everywhere.
Yeah, like, we're just not, like, allowed to just be, like, not everywhere, not, like, in terms of we can't just be around, but just more, like, we can't just be, like, with others and then have, like, a very civil place sometimes. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes, other stuff might happen. It just...
And you have a problem with that, being segregated, basically?
Yeah, I mean, everybody should have a problem being segregated just because, I mean, we're in America. We're supposed to be able to be free. That's the whole entire thing of this country, be freedom. So it kind of sucks that we're still going through issues that should be already taken care of since we've gone through so much, but are still recent issues are still occurring nowadays.
All right.
How do you think things have changed from, because you know what happened in the 60s, how people being hosed down and so forth. Do you think anything has changed from that time period up until now?
I don't think that it hasn't changed. Maybe the scenarios changed. Like, it's not the same tactics, but, at the end of the day, it's the same. The tactics change, but at the end of the day, it's still each individual's responsibility to mold their mind so they can make the right decisions for themselves to keep themselves out of the predicaments. I do understand that the predicaments, they're going to be there, but if you have a clear mind and you're in the power and you've built your own vocabulary, you built your own mind, those situations, you will see them coming. And you can put those to the side, and continue just to rock how you rock, A lot of things they're impulsive. And people, that's what I'm saying, just sit back and let time unwind. And just focus on building your own perspective, building your own mindset, get away from the TVs and whatnot, and these situations won't occur.
Do you guys think that we will live in a world one day where we all are treated equally? Has there ever been equality on the earth?
Sadly, no. Everyone thinks they need to one-up everyone, and I don't really get that mentality.
What about you?
No, not once has the world been equal, but I definitely think we're getting closer as we have been.
Okay, so that situation that happened at Starbucks, do you think that it could have been handled differently?
Absolutely. If they were detained, that's pathetic. I have no acceptance for that.
Had it been two white guys, do you think that it would have been the same situation?
No, I don't think they would have been looked twice at. I think they would have just been left alone. Don't know why.
What about you?
Same as him. They would have been left alone, sadly. Sad to say, but it's probably true.
So what do you think should happen to, like, a situation like that, an employee like that? I mean, should she keep her job? I mean, what would you do?
No, she should be let go and never return to the company.
You would be considered a minority here as well, right? Because you're from Bulgaria? I hear you have a very strong... In Bulgaria, would that have happened over there as well?
In Bulgaria, would I have the opportunity?
No, I'm saying, say if two black men were to walk into a vicinity where it was mainly white people, would that have happened also in Bulgaria?
That wouldn't be probably under similar situation. It depends on how homogeneous the society is, and Bulgaria seems to be very homogeneous. And the first reaction to everybody around when you have people of other race, when it's more obvious the skin color than anything else, is surprise and shock.
All right.
How do you think our people should handle this? Like, what should we do now? Because these situations occur to our people a lot, correct? Right. We oppress people. So how do you think we can do? Should we come together? What do you think we should do?
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to start patronizing like our own black-owned coffee shops and things like that, like Uncle Bobby's in Germantown, because that was institutionalized racism at its finest. Right. Because my thing is that
So many people come to Starbucks and they just wait and they just sit. They were waiting for a friend. Not even 2 minutes, the cops were called. The manager didn't even come and say like, hey, I was wondering if you guys were going to order or anything like that, even if that was like the excuse. But that was just capitalism and racism at its finest. So
What do you think should happen to the employee that got the brother arrested? What do you think should happen to her?
So from my knowledge, she was fired. And I was told that Starbucks headquarters were going to shut them down momentarily so that way they can get that sensitivity training and, especially dealing with diverse people, especially because Philadelphia is a melting pot. So that was just fucked up, point blank.
So do you think racism exists today?
Absolutely, 100%.
100%, yeah.
Do you think that any light would have been given into the situation had it not been recorded?
Sadly, probably not, because there's probably plenty of these things that go on every day in other cities around the country, around the world even, that go unheard of. But at least some things still get a light shown on them to bring forward this problem, because it's a worldwide problem, sadly.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's great with the amount of recording that we have worldwide now, so we can see when this stuff goes down. We can fully investigate both sides and see who's in the right, who's in the wrong. So I like it. I like that there's being recording going on.
Do you think there's any equality today?
I mean, I think there's plenty of equality, but we want equity. You know what I mean?
So what do you mean by equity?
Basically, everybody. Basically, reparations would be equity. You know what I mean? It would give us. It would give us an equal platform as far as finances. Then we will be able to address our own people and build education and influence our own people, like we influence them at our crib, but at our house. You know what I mean? Like it would be more of a homely environment for Black people or people of color worldwide. Like the world would become our home instead of when we leave our house, we feel like we're in somebody else's house. You know what I mean? Exactly. That's what it's like. It's like once we leave our door, it's like, all right, we're in somebody else's territory, which shouldn't be the case. Exactly. So if we was to get our reparations, then that would be equity, and then we would feel like, all right, it doesn't matter. Like we can buy this block, like we own this territory.
Now, speak on more about some of these issues. Let me hear like a few.
Like, let's go for instance to like anything in psychologists. Like you might go to college and you might hear a frat or something like that talking about like people in a derogatory way, like calling them the N-word or calling them out their name, like especially if they're like people outside of Black people, even like Asians or Indians. You might hear a lot. I've seen a lot happen too when I've had to step in. So seeing this type of thing happen and we're still growing, becoming like adults, it kind of sucks because it's like there's no one single issue. There's multiple issues all the time.
All right, so like listen to your conversation about all of this. It seems like you're pointing towards that we should still be as segregated to get away from all these problems. That's what you're saying?
No, I mean I feel like we should work on becoming more like together. It's harder. You can't just say like we cannot just be segregated because there's so much that goes into it. It just takes a long time. But I feel like if we really work towards it, it could happen.
And now back to what you said earlier. You said it seems commonplace, these things that occur, but they don't really escalate to the point where this one escalated to. But it does happen, and really a lot of people don't hear about it. You might have gone through it, through a level of discomfort. So I would like to pick your brain as far as what that feels like or what it meant to you when that, you went through it or you experienced it in any way.
Well, it's just kind of like, I mean, it can go from the sort of low-level baseline of the sort of following you around the store and saying, may I help you, multiple times when other people walk in and are able to shop without being bothered, up to, having the police called on you for sitting there waiting for someone else to arrive in your party. So it's something that I think most, if not all, Black people have experienced on a lower level. And yeah, I think that something needs to be done. I think that it's going to take more than just a day of training to take care of. I'm glad that they're doing the day of training. I think that it at least calls attention to it, because again, it is something that is so commonplace that people don't really even think about it. It's just something that I don't think that store owners are even really thinking this person is, black, so I must be afraid of them. It's just something that automatically pops into the mind. And this is not necessarily a white people think this. It is people in society feel this way about black people and people of color.
And that's a good point because you've said, and do you agree with what he just said?
No, I agree with what you have said. Also, they'll be making changes by putting some sort of a manifesto on businesses and how to behave and what to expect when you're in that business.
So let me ask you a question, and I know you guys have kind of hinted to it already. Does racism still exist?
Yes, totally. In many forms, sadly.
How so? How can one be racist?
Because they feel insignificant themselves and sadly need someone to push down on to push themselves back up, which I don't get. I really don't. I can't put a finger on it, honestly.
What about you?
Not once have I been a part of it, but I have experienced racism near me. Makes me extremely uncomfortable. No room in my page for that.
Now, when you say that you've experienced it close to you, can you describe a little about what happened?
Well, up in New Hampshire, I will say it's a little bit more white-collar than everyone down here. When I'm in the supermarket saying there's a person of color dealing with an older white gentleman, I have seen them be rude before, and that's happened twice to me. Not to me, but I have seen it happen.
So let me ask you a question. You said something about reparations, right? So you think the same people that's in power right now, do you think they honestly going to give us reparations? Do you think that will happen? No.
Probably not. Maybe, I don't know. I hope my grandchildren live to see that, truthfully. But honestly, we can't depend on a system that was never for us. Right. So that's just kind of like what I think about, like, building our own economies, building our own platforms, building our own education, and, doing everything that we can, starting with our children at home. So that's just my perspective on it.
Okay, do y'all believe in the Bible?
Nah, I believe in some of the messages, but as far as the books, you got to read between the lines and everything, you know what I mean?
Okay, if you don't mind, I want to show you one scripture. Okay, let me get Zephaniah 2:1. All right, just real quick. Because you said something heavy. You said our people should gather, we should gather together and come up with our own businesses and so forth, right? So I just want to show you one scripture, show you what God says about that.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired.
So the Bible says, gather yourselves together, O nation that's not desired. Now I have a question. What nation on this earth is not desired?
I mean, you're looking at them.
Who we looking at? Tell me.
Black, the brown, the beautiful.
Black and brown. What he said.
So who do you think God is talking to?
The black, the brown, the beautiful. You already know.
Because you made a very good point. You said that it's not just white people. It's all people that have this sort of stigma against black people in general. Because even black people have that stigma. When other black people come around, they feel a certain type of way. And that's why there's a lot of killings, there's a lot of murders, and there's a lot of things that shouldn't be going on within the black community itself. So that leads to my next question. What you think as black people, because this seems to be a black issue, what should black people, the minority, do in order to get themselves out of this situation? Because it seems like we've tried everything. Politics, voting, religion, Christianity, Islam. We've tried all these things, but nothing really seems to get us out of where we are.
So, I mean, it's going to take more than the politics that we've been doing. It's really going to be about controlling the media, controlling the message. And I don't mean like just I think that one of the better steps, and this is actually probably really controversial, but it might actually be more important that we had a movie like Black Panther than that we had a president like Barack Obama.
So you're saying more like segregate, but basically self-sufficient. Be self-sufficient in a way, right?
It's sort of a self-sufficiency, but it's about an image. And so Obama really helped with the image, but it was in a way that allowed for a lot of backlash. And I mean, you had I'm not going to say that it was necessarily created by Obama, but the backlash to a black president by the people who didn't necessarily wanted to end up like that created the current situation that we have now, where you have an autocratic message being delivered from the White House. And we'll see how that turns out, but it really is at this point very much the campaign that he ran was very much autocratic messaging of I alone can fix the problems that have been created over the past 8 years. You guys have been put down, you have been forgotten about over the past 8 years because there is a black man who's become president. And so there is a backlash to that, whereas Black Panther and movies like that where you just, you raise black people up in the message and say, look, they have problems, they resolve their dramas, and they can crack jokes, they can be awesome superheroes, they can do all the same things and be all the same people that white protagonists always have been. It's a better message because it's just thinking, oh yeah, it's for a black person, it's thinking I could be that superhero, but also for white people, it's I can start seeing them more than just being like the sassy sidekick or the magical old black man in the park who dispenses wisdom. These are positive, but more real, more relatable. Yeah, realistic and relatable. I'm not saying that, a guy in a made-up African country wearing a vibranium suit is realistic, but it's just the fact that his relationships are relatable.
So give me a solution to this division in America.
I think just kind of building our communities together, building not just black communities by itself and white communities, but also trying to build them together. Like, of course, we will have to build it within our own areas, but at some point there should be more communal events that kind of combine each one.
Okay, now check this out. You believe in the Bible?
Yeah.
All right, you believe in the God?
Yeah.
The Holy Bible?
Yeah.
All right, so how does God feel about segregation?
I mean, I've been back to the Bible for a minute because I've been inside school, but I mean, I feel like a lot of that stuff from back, that's kind of hard because like you gotta think about it. Back then, there's so much of a difference. You can't really always try to compare the past to the present just because so much has changed. So back then, it might have been okay for certain things to be segregated. Separation and diversity and being like some people may like when it comes to kind of like stereotyping people, it sometimes works because like for instance, STDs inside like black community are rising compared to like white.
Okay, let's stay on track.
Yeah, no, I'm comparing it to that. Like you gotta sometimes when it comes to separation, probably like on discrimination, it works just because sometimes other issues might happen that you need to look upon.
A lot of us, growing up, we weren't really, taught correct ways of, the scriptures. There's been a lot of manipulation and things like that. And like you both said, we understand that there's a lot of things that America has a dark history on and things that need to be overcome, right? Let's see what God thinks about equality.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So God says that somebody is supposed to be above all people upon the face of the earth. What do you guys think about that?
I could think about that for the next 3 hours, but like I said, I do think that ties into me believing in some sort of higher power above us.
What about you?
I almost believe that mentality sort of stems into the problem with racism, is that someone needs to be above someone. Why? Like I said, we're all humans. Like, we're all in this for the greater good. We're all seeking happiness in life, right? So why does someone need to think they need to be above someone else to be happy?
Well, just historically speaking, I mean, that's been how it has been, right? You had, the Romans, the Greeks,
I think it's primal instinct, honestly. The animal in all of us.
Right. Well, I want to thank you guys for your time, and we appreciate it, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so back to the Bible. You said you believe in the Bible, and do you believe that God, because God stays the same, he don't never change. Do you believe that God, back then, he was racist?
I wouldn't say racist. Racist is a strong word.
What would you say?
You can say prejudice to an extent, because prejudice, it works in that way, but racist, that would be too far.
Who is God prejudiced against?
I don't really speak on the Bible that much with that type of stuff.
Let's find out real quick. Let's get Deuteronomy 6 and 7. This is the Holy Bible, all right? 7 and 6. All right, check this out.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So God here, he's talking to the Jews, the Israelites. He said, you are a holy people. You understand?
The Lord thy God have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So let's say you got a pair of shoes, right? You got one shoes that's work shoes, then you got a special pair of shoes. All right?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So if God's saying one people that are above a whole nother people, what does that sound like to you?
It sounds like he's separating people, but I mean, at the same time, you gotta think about it. It is God. You gotta think about it above than regular stuff. It's not like he's a human being where he's here for it. It's more like people of a whole.
But does that sound racist to you?
I wouldn't say it's racist.
So let's like put it in human terms now. If I say, if Donald Trump says white people are above all people on the face of the earth, what does that sound like to you?
That's racist, but you got to think about it. That's the person who's physically here. You can actually see them and see their words actually happening. You're looking to a book and you're reading that. You get to go by what they're saying in the book, kind of, because it's already written in words. People who are here present, you're going to get a different feel of it because they're actually seeing emotion. You're actually seeing their actual face and talking about it. You can talk to them because they're right there, or you might be able to go to the White House and have a protest above and right in front of them. You can't have a protest about the Bible in front of God because he's not here.
Okay, so what about God's people? They're still here, right?
Yeah, but that's not God himself. That's his disciples. You can't kind of come at people who just follow people. Followers and leaders are two different things.
But do you believe that this book represents God, his words?
I mean, that's the Bible. I don't speak against the Bible no matter what.
So do you believe in the Bible?
Yes.
So you believe what God said about his people?
Look, whatever he has to say, that's him. I don't speak negative, positive. Look, it's all that.
All right, thank you. What's your name again, Greg? Miles. All right, thank you.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.